that. Hey, we're moving on because this is not going anywhere. Because you guys will believe anything that any NFL team tells you or a coach tells you, and you think that shit's the truth. You got to be out of your mind. Nobody believes that was in that building. Michael Irvin will tell you numerous times, Garrett was calling the plays. Flip-flopping on. I'm not flip-flopping on shit. I'm holding to my guns. Get this. I never said Moore was the play caller. You can't read and you're stupid. Okay. I'm stupid? You're the one that fucking thinks that a pulling guard and a zone blocking guard could do the same shit. You talk about stupid? That's dumb, guy. Or you're talking about a 3-technique DT playing in a 34? That's stupid, dude. Or talking about a quarterback you think it's going to change overnight in a passing offense. That's stupid, dude. That's stupid. Nick is probably great at something. I just don't know what. One thing for sure is Nick's terrible play caller. No, Nick's not a terrible play caller. Nick is a terrible play caller with an RPO quarterback. Nick's probably a great play caller. Hey, do you think there's any coincidence that the quarterbacks that are Jalen Hurts' backups are the kind of coaches or kind of players that Nick Sirianni coached in the past? You don't see any. There's not one quarterback that's on your football team that resembles Jalen Hurts if that guy gets hurt. They'll change the entire offense to fit Nick, not what they're doing. They'll scrap that entire offense if Hurts gets hurt because it's easier for Nick to coach. That's why you got Andy Dalton. And that's why you got Tanner McKee. Think about this, Charles. If you hired people for Jalen Hurts, you tell me, what in God's name does Tanner McKee, what in God's name does Tanner McKee and Andy Dalton have in common with Jalen Hurts? Name me one thing they have in common. What do they have in common? They played a quarterback position? They hired those guys for Nick. This offense is Nick. It's got nothing to do with Sean Mannion. This is Nick. And they're going to add some twists, but they're not. Okay? I don't give a shit what you think, Prince. With Phillips Rivers, dude, if Nick Sirianni had a quarterback like Phillip Rivers, I bet you Nick's a good play caller. I bet he's a great play caller. As a matter of fact, name me one quarterback he's ever coached like Jalen Hurts. Okay? No. You would assume I respect your takes this morning or this afternoon. You're inflating who you think you are because I'm not really upset with you. I just think you're stupid. And that meant I would have to have had respect for your takes, and I don't. So again, at the end of the day, look at the guys they hire. I'm playing catch-up. Are you saying Moore was not the play caller? I'm saying Moore was not the play caller. By the way, when Kellen Moore got... Okay, so wait a minute. Let me get this right. Kellen Moore had the number one passing offenses, if you're saying that, in Dallas. How come he didn't institute that same play calling passing offense in Philly? Because they had a running game? Well, wait a minute. If you have a prolific running game, doesn't that set up having a great offensive passing attack? How come you're 28th in passing and you're like third in rushing? How come you didn't install and have a great offensive balanced attack in Philly? How come you didn't have a balanced attack in Philly? Interested in your take on that. How come he couldn't bring all those great-minded things he did in Dallas to Philly? Anybody? So teams are paying millions for clipboard holders. Shit, sign me up for 75 grand. Save all team millions. No, you're right. I'm sure you're right that in Kansas City, that Eric Bieniemy's the play caller with Patrick Mahomes. I'm probably dead sure that Kyle Shanahan doesn't call the plays. I'm probably dead sure that Sean McVay doesn't call, or Matt LaFleur doesn't call the plays. I would bet you, according to your opinion, that those guys don't call plays. Okay. And that the OCs do. And yet, the gold in those hires, they're head coaching play callers. Doesn't matter who the OC is. Quarterback's got the same guy, whether you take their OC or not. The play caller is Andy Reid. They help build the game plan during the week. That's it. Correct. And they may have, depending on what their forte is, if he's a running back coach or if he's a wide receiver coach, like Anthony Lynn, probably running. If you're a wide receiver coach like Nick was, route concepts, they probably add a little more to that. I'll tell you what. What do you think? What do you think the biggest thing that Sean Mannion will bring to the table? What do you think? What do you think the biggest thing that Sean Mannion, on a positive note, will bring to the offense? Let's take a look at this. New idea. By the way, in 137 days. No clue. What do you think? You're getting there, Rico. Follow it up. Come on, Rico. You're almost there. That would be a disaster. You're almost there, Rico. There you go, Kyle. Use of the tight end. That's why I say that tight end guy from Oregon. Don't go to sleep on that, especially if you move off of AJ. And they draft somebody at that position there. The only thing that he really did well up in Green Bay was working with Tucker Kraft and getting Tucker Kraft involved in the offense. Tucker Kraft was the weapon up there. It was the tight end that was really, they're not running. Hey guys, see this guy right here? You're not running RPOs ever again. You're not running RPO. You could stop with that. RPOs are out. You think as Hurts gets older, you're going to start adding RPOs? What are you, psycho? They're not going to add that. Quarterback's not going to run. They're trying to develop the quarterback in the pocket now. This is the next evolution of Jalen Hurts. They're going to find out, and I agree. Anthony, RPO's over. I'm not running RPO. You didn't bring Sean Mannion in to run RPO. You brought him in to see if they can evolve Hurts into being a pocket guy. Okay? That's what they did. If you actually think